Hi there. Today is a very great day for me. So, I happen to visit Odia Bhasa Samilani, which is Odisha's first Odia language festival. It's kind of a festival organized here only in Janta Maidan. And after that, it so happened that I happened to meet one of my favorite authors in Odisha. So, he's Mr. Satyajit Senapati, whose first book I reviewed in my YouTube channel, and I also conducted an interview. And today I happen to hold his second book, The Leader's Kaleidoscope. So, sir, congratulations on the release of this new book. And it happened, it was just like, it feels like it was yesterday. I took your interview with
Yes.
the on the first book, and I'm currently reading it and rereading it, and I find it so amazing. And now this Leader's Kaleidoscope, I'm looking forward to reading this book. So, how the journey has been in the past 2 years?
Thank you, Saurav, for the kind words. And yes, it has been quite a journey. The first book came, it's called Workmanship and Winning. It came back in February 2022. So almost after 2 years, I have come out with my second book, which is this, The Leader's Kaleidoscope. The first book, of course, met with a lot of success. It became a number one bestseller on Amazon. And the second book is also now available in Amazon, and it is also hit the bestseller rank. So both these books did well, or this book is doing well, I would say. And yeah, I mean, it has been a very interesting journey. After I wrote my first book, a lot of things changed. I set myself up as a public speaker. I was invited to various colleges, corporates, and different events like TEDx and all, where I happened to speak. I shared my ideas. In between these 2 years, I also have worked very hard to uh, establish myself in the online space, be it LinkedIn, YouTube, or Instagram, and I've been able to get some support there as well. But yes, as in the journey has been quite interesting as an author, because you need to think of ideas that are worth sharing, and that's when you want to really make them into a book, which can then get published.
Sir, as I told you, I am still reading and rereading your first book, Workmanship and Winning. And I think it's an amazing book because, to be very honest, I read self help in terms of business and self help. It was Stephen Covey, The Seven Habits of Effective
Effective people.
People. And after that, I think it was your book that I read it, and I'm loving it. So, is can I expect the Leader's Kaleidoscope to be a sequel of your first book?
Well, yes and no. This is again in the workspace, career space only. So that way it is a sequel. But really, the essence of the Leader's Kaleidoscope is something little different. The whole idea around writing this Leader's Kaleidoscope is that. So when typically you ask or you talk about a leader or a leadership, the things that you generally talk is the that the leader is should have empathy, should have this problem solving skills, or should drive these profits, should be the one who would be turning around the company, things like that. So most definitions of leadership revolves around the qualities that a leader should have and the outcomes that the leader should drive. This book is actually exploring a third dimension, which is called the leadership perspective. The leadership perspective is nothing but your, as a leader, what is your view about different things that happen to you as you lead or as you go in your leadership journey. So yes, to answer your question, it is in some sense a sequel, but it's a very standalone book by itself, focusing more on how you can create that leadership kaleidoscope for yourself and for the organization and for the people that you're leading.
Thank you very much, sir. You spoke about leaders' perspective. So my next question is, what inspired you to write a book on leadership? And given there are so many books on leadership, uh, what do you think you have done differently in this book?
So there are so many books on leadership, right? And ideally, I should say that one must read as much leadership books as possible. See, because leadership is not a simple concept. It is a concept that has many dimensions. It's like a diamond, right? So wherever you will put light on it, it will shine from that particular angle. So leadership is has got many facets. So for some, leadership is just as I say, it is more about the leader having those qualities. For some, it is about the leader, doing this turnaround, leading this organization and achieving this above average profit, blah blah blah. But for some, it could just be how they interact with the world and the way the environment around them shapes up. In this book, I have tried to address some of these aspects. So for example, today, in an organization, you will find there are people from different race, ethnicity, culture, time zones, etc etc, right? So as a leader, do you really understand what diversity, equity and inclusion really can do for you? Or is it just a fad that you want to follow because your organization wants you to do that? So the whole idea is, do you really understand the why behind it? Similarly, the other aspects that I have dealt with is on sustainability. Again, sustainability is something that we all talk about. But as a leader, do I really understand how it is going to affect my career, how it is going to affect the careers of my people, how it is going to affect the competitiveness of my organization in the future? So these are some of these questions that I want you to ponder as a leader, so that your perspective is shaped up in that sense. So in this book, I have dealt about seven themes being work-life balance, customer centricity, employee centricity, sustainability, how we are going to work in the future, and then of course diversity, equity, and innovation, and then last but not the least, the innovation. I'm not saying that these seven themes are the themes, or these seven themes encompass everything around leadership. There could be many more views, many more thoughts, many more kaleidoscopic views, many more practical aspects that one might find. But then somewhere the start has to be made, and which is why I feel that this book is a great start in creating that perspective for the leaders.
Correct, sir. You have explored seven themes in this book, as we can see in the blurb: diversity, equity, and inclusion, reimagining workplace dynamics, sustainability, and so on. There are
Yes.
seven themes. So these are seven themes, and each theme can be read separately. So, sir, what do you suggest? Like, these seven themes, are they so interrelated to each other, or can they be like, can a person who is looking to level up their leadership skills can pick one aspect, one theme, and can work on it
Mhm.
to sharpen their
Understood. Understood. Very good question. So, see, the themes are chapters in this book. So, there are overall nine chapters in the book. The first chapter is the introduction, where I'm talking about why I have written this book, why yet another book on leadership, so on and so forth. And it also sets the tone because it tells you what to expect out of each of these chapters. Now, from chapter 2 to chapter 8, it's all about chapter 9, chapter 8, yes. It is all about each of these themes, how I'm going to explore them. And then there is a final chapter where I'm trying to bring all of these together. So it really doesn't matter in what order you read the themes, as long as you do first and last in the right order. Of course, I would prefer you to read in the order in which I have listed down the chapters, but feel free to use or look at things that is important to you. For example, I presented this book to a leader who happens to lead CSR initiatives in an organization. The first chapter she read was about sustainability. Then I presented a book to an HR leader. The first chapter she read was around work life balance. Then I presented this book to a business leader, the one who is responsible for driving revenues and growth. And the first chapter this gentleman read was around the employee centricity and the customer centricity. These were the two chapters he read back to back. So there is no set structure, but pick up the ones that excites you, that you think you have a point of view about, and then go on and read about it.
Correct, sir. So well said. Personally speaking, I have not yet gone through this book entirely. But if I have to pick up one of these or two of these seven themes, I would pick up work-life balance and innovation, because these things, I think, I can work on it and grow. So, sir, now coming to you, which chapters are your personal favorites?
So I personally like the three chapters, I would say, that I feel are very, very close to my heart. The first is, of course, diversity, equity, and inclusion. And then there is one chapter on sustainability. And then there is one chapter on work-life balance. I think these three chapters is what I recommend to people, that if you don't have the time to read the full book, at least read these three chapters.
And sir, why these three chapters are your favorite? If you please can elaborate on that.
Sure. The three chapters, right? DEI and sustainability. Let me talk about these two first. Okay. So DEI is something, and sustainability is another theme, which is, in my observation, not only leaders but many working professionals do not seem to get it. Most of them are focused on what needs to be done. So they take part in initiatives, they take part in whatever the organization directs them. So there is a big gap in terms of understanding these themes in terms of their whys. And in this book, I have tried to articulate the why, that why you should do DEI, that why you should look at sustainability with a serious lens. Sustainability can no more be an elective in a B school, right? It
Yes.
has to become a central study course when it comes to our colleges and universities. So, right from the grassroots, how you need to integrate the view around sustainability, because there is no version of future without sustainability. So, are we really that alarmed? Are we really that focused? Do we really attach that kind of significance to sustainability? Well, I don't think we do, which is why these two chapters are really, standing out for me. The chapter on work life balance, why I insist on that is because most of the time work life balance means that if you want to have work life balance, you need to compromise on your career goals. But the real meaning and real intent of work life balance is not about compromising your career goals. It's about achieving those career goals in balance with what you do with your personal goals.
Yes.
And that's what I have tried to focus on in this chapter, by giving a lot of examples of people who have done it really well, especially women in leadership, their perspective. I think that's why I feel that these three chapters are interesting reads. Of course, I am biased, I am the writer. I would say that read all the seven chapters, not just three, and then do reflect and let me know how you felt it.
Indeed, sir. Sir, who are your audience for this book and how it can help them?
Excellent question again. So, when I wrote this book, I had primarily leaders in my mind. Then I also felt that such things needs to be, such themes, such perspectives needs to be inculcated right from the very beginning. So I think the ideal audience is the entire spectrum. It's people who want to make a career out of it, be it entrepreneur, be it a job seeker, students, B schools, universities. I think all of them can benefit from that, because leadership is not restricted to just corporate sector. Leadership is everywhere, right? So which is why, although my initial intent was that I would probably write this for the leaders, but I think this book actually is the narrative is pretty simple and lucid, right? Which is why I think that this book can benefit the entire spectrum of readers, and then they can have something to take away from this book.
Indeed, sir. Because the content, if we speak about the content, the readability is very like, I think student who is studying in standard 6 or standard 7 can start with this book, and it will, as they go
Right.
along, because this is not a one curriculum academic year book.
Absolutely.
Right. So if a standard 6-year old picks up this book and uh, keeps this one with like college time, even B school, so it is going to benefit them a lot.
Absolutely.
And sir, any message to the audience, your intended audience, be it a standard 6-year like standard 6 student to the top ones in the
Absolutely.
corporate?
Yeah.
world.
So in sum, if I have to, give a message, right? So I would say that always try to find the why. Why you are doing this or why you are doing that. All of these are very very important aspects, because once you know why, the how and the what are just a matter of efforts and finding out the direction. But if you don't really feel the why within you, all of these things feels like something that you do just for the sake of doing, be it diversity, be it
Sustainability.
sustainability. If you don't understand why sustainability, or if you don't really feel that there is no future without sustainability, you will never become serious. And the point is, it is not guaranteed that if you have spent an enormous amount of time in an industry, that you would still have figured out the why. There are many leaders who are very senior, but they still don't simply get it. They question you that why do I hire diversity?
Yes.
I can achieve this with this team, so why do I need to hire diversity? Or for that matter, I'm selling so well, why do I need to look at sustainable initiatives? So these things have to be normalized. People need to understand that the why is always more important than the how and the what. Only when you know the why, that's when the how and the what sort of falls in places, and it's more engaging and more interesting to work with. I think that
Sir,
would be the message.
please allow me to digress a little bit. Speaking on diversity, because now we are in a like Bhubaneswar, as we work and live in Bhubaneswar or in Bangalore for that matter, or any big cities. Uh, Most of the big cities are a melting pot of various people, various cultures, even economic, socio-economic backgrounds. So in that case, uh, we cannot overlook diversity. We
Yes.
have to be inclusive.
Yes.
Speaking on equity and inclusion, again, it is an extension of diversity. Reimagining workplace dynamics, we cannot do away with it. And work-life balance, uh, the more we rest or the more we focus on the work-life balance, the more productive one tends to become.
Yes.
But sir, as you spoke on sustainability, it's funny that the other day on Saturday, I was going through an article published in Times of India about how this fossil fuel culture
Mhm.
uh, it uh, it had a toxic masculinity that we speak about, the toxic masculinity syndrome. It started from there. And as we in our popular culture, like movies like Animal, which I did not like that very much, or KGF part 1 and 2, which I liked very much. Those if we look at the protagonists and the message they are spreading, uh, to damn with sustainability, we are here to achieve our goals by any means. So to those people who are following that popular culture, that trend, what would you suggest? Because many people, they are saying that, well, we have so much time in the earth, so why should we even bother about sustainability? So to those people, what would you suggest?
See, I think first and foremost, as I have mentioned in this particular discussion, there is no version of future without sustainability, right? So uh, everybody is concerned about CO2 emissions. Everybody is concerned about planet. So when we talk about these global issues, global challenges, right? So the first thing we think is that it's the responsibility of the governments, which they need to come together and do something about it. Of course, the corporates have also started chiming in with their own sustainability initiatives, so on and so forth. But the point is, it should be understood that why sustainability is going to impact me. If, let's say, today somebody passing out from the university doesn't understand this, then he or she is going to be the one who is going to be impacted the most. So let me give you an example why I am saying so. So let's say today there is a factory which runs, there is a company which runs, let's say, 50 factories producing X amount of output. In the future, when emissions have to be reduced, the factory needs to produce the same amount of output with less number of units. How, as a working professional, are you going to cope up with that? What kind of innovations are you going to do? How are you looking at making your business sustainable? Now, if this thought is not there right from the beginning, it is very difficult to inculcate the idea of sustainability in the minds of people. The other thing I wanted to mention is when you talk about emissions, sustainability, the primary things that come to your mind is use this, smoke filled factories and all that kinds of things, or the cars and etc. etc. Which is why,
Or if I may quote a scene from KGF, the protagonist Rocky says that greed is good. So in that film, to just give a context to the viewers, there were mines, and the previous owner of the mine, he had a plan to be very sustainable. He had a plan to extract the gold out of the mines that could last for 100 years. But our protagonist comes, cuts off the antagonist's head,
yes,
takes over the mine, and starts drilling all the area so that the gold can be extracted as soon as possible.
Right.
And he says that greed is good and everything. So, in that context, sir.
See, which is why it is even more important to understand the why. If, going back to the example of KGF, if the protagonist or the hero of the movie, the person on which this movie is based on, if he would have understood the sustainability aspects, probably he would not have said greed is good. He would have said that there is no version of future without sustainability. So that's the difference that has to happen when it comes to, and through writings and through efforts, people are trying to bring about that awareness among the people about sustainability.